Hi folks, my name is Earl Walton. I'm the Global Director of Coaching and Training here at IRONMAN. And I'm sitting here today at our IRONMAN headquarters with Jeff Byers, CEO and President of AMP Human.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us today, Jeff.
Thanks for having me, Earl.
It's great to have you here. So give me really the quick elevator pitch. What is AMP Human?
Yeah, AMP Human, we're a sports performance company born out of a biotech that has really said, let's define what the limiting factors of human optimization are and deliver solutions around those. And our first real innovation is around the GI system. So the GI system is one of the limiting factors in how we optimize our body. And we acquired a technology from a biotech company to avoid that GI system and leverage the skin as a way to give the body more of what it needs to perform at its best.
So I'm going to break this down into my coach speak.
Yeah.
So when an athlete comes to me and says, hey coach, I got 5 workouts this week. I'm running out of juice and I need something to help, with the consistency of workouts. Is this a product that I'm going to use?
Yeah, so our first product is called Lotion, and what it does is it simply gives the body more of a basic electrolyte, which is sodium bicarbonate. Bicarb's role, like all other electrolytes, is to help muscle efficiency. And so when you work out, your muscles use electrolytes to help them perform at its peak. But bicarb you can't take orally because it causes GI distress. So it's been a ceiling that's been held on our muscles. So Lotion gives the body more of that electrolyte so you can increase your capacity to do work by making your muscles more efficient every day.
Mm-hmm. So bicarbs is basically baking soda.
It is. Sodium bicarbonate is baking soda.
Which we know is good for us, but we can't take in because it's going to give us GI distress, which is, from a triathlete, especially in Ironman, is like biggest issue, biggest showstopper that we see out on the race course.
Yep, there's decades of scientific literature talking about sodium bicarbonate and its effectiveness in both a training aid and a performance aid. The problem, like you just mentioned, it's never been practical outside of a really small subset of middle distance events. And so never been practical in training to maximize training load and training capacity, and never been practical outside of those events during event day.
So with AMP Human, what's really interesting is it's not all about the lotion. You and I have talked about this before. It's about the technology. It's the delivery method.
Precisely.
That's really cool, right?
Yeah, so the delivery mechanism is what unlocks sodium bicarbonate or other molecules that our gut has a hard time absorbing. So it's this delivery mechanism that was developed in biotech that we're now applying to sports, wellness, et cetera.
So as an athlete, is there something, so let's break down the product. So it's a lotion.
Yep.
So, as you and I discussed, so I can put the lotion on my legs.
Yep.
I go out for my run. That's the delivery method.
Yeah, so essentially for like lower body days, you'd go low back down to calves and make sure you get your glutes, your hams, your quads, all your big active muscles. You want to get as much surface area as you can so you can get as much sodium bicarbonate into your body. And you put it on, like you said, pre-workout, so your body has that electrolyte during the workout so it can be more efficient.
Okay. So, and it's going to, so what am I going to feel? Like, am I going to feel anything, or what am I looking for?
That's a really great question. It depends upon what type of workout you're going to do. So if you're doing a really high intensity, multiple interval type workout that you know really well, you're definitely going to be able to notice that increased capacity to do work in those interval training sessions. But most days, what is most noticeable is the recovery after the fact. Basically, it's allowing your body to have a little less taxing work on that workload, so that you feel better the next day and the next day after, so you can do more days back to back.
Mm-hmm. So that was always when I first started training for Ironman. That was like there was literally when we would meet for the workout the next day. There was this, like, we would say DOMS, the DOM. It was like the TUMS thing, DOMS. Talk a little bit about the DOMS.
Yeah, so in one of our clinical studies that was done at San Diego State and published by American College of Sports Medicine, it was looked at DOMS from 24 to 48 hours post damaging workout and using Lotion before that workout. And what we saw was actually people that were on Lotion saw a 53% reduction in DOMS from 1 to 2 days, and people that were in the control group saw an increase in DOMS versus a decrease. And this was a double-blind, randomized, crossover, placebo-controlled study. So very well designed.
That's fantastic. So delayed onset muscle soreness, down a ton, which means one, a much happier wake up the next morning, but also the ability to work
Yeah.
again the next day.
Yeah, as you know, right, training for an Ironman is all about your capacity to do work over time. And if you have that DOMS, your capacity to do work over the course of the week decreases. So by increasing that capacity to work, you're able to stack more productive days on top of each other, which has big impacts for fitness gains, for gains long term.
So we're stacking workouts on top of each other.
Yep.
We're putting a lotion on. Are there any concerns? Is there any safety issues? I know that as a technology company, you're well studied.
Yep.
You know, you're well backed. So talk to me a little bit about.
So sodium bicarbonate's very, very well understood. It's a highly regulated molecule within the body. Long-term use of sodium bicarbonate is very well known and well understood from both supplement to a medical perspective. No issues there. And then the underlying technology is recognized as safe by the FDA. We used commonly known food ingredients, cosmetics, et cetera, that really make up this core delivery technology. And so that is also, I mean, we've had over probably 1 million uses to date, ranging from, Tour de France riders to Super Bowl champs.
Speaking of Tour de France riders, can you talk about some of the people that have endorsed your product or that have used it that have had success?
Yeah, we've been really, really lucky, and our original goal was to win at the top of sport. Elite sport validates technology and understands data and such, and we've had a really strong data case to be able to go have conversations with the top sports scientists in the world and get them to listen to understand what we're doing and how our approach is different. So we've been lucky to, like our customers include a good chunk of the NFL, the NHL. We work with the best Tour de France riders, and we've been really lucky to do that with the best marathoners, et cetera. Over the last 2 years, we've really, really had great penetration across sport. We have great endorsements by the St. Louis Blues, who won the Stanley Cup last year. We have a great endorsement by the LA Rams as well. But then within the Ironman community, we're lucky to work with people like Lucy Charles and Cam Wharf and Matt Russell, that are all really tremendous athletes that have done great things at the Ironman level.
Yeah, and I know Matt. Just to give one prime example, Matt's a guy who races much more than most athletes.
Yeah.
So he's not somebody who does one Ironman, qualifies, and goes on. He races a lot each year. He raced Kona last year. I believe he was in that top. Matt won Lake Placid last year.
Yep.
That's what he did. Sorry, we're going to cut that one out.
Facts.
Fact check that one. So working, you made a really great statement there, which is something that as a coach I struggle with sometimes, which is elite wins validate science a lot of times. Did I say that right?
I think elite sports science validates new technology,
Great.
Or should validate new technology.
So when you're talking about that, elite sports science, are we talking about elite athletes, and then how does that work? Talk about your product with your everyday athlete.
Yeah, the great thing about why we've targeted Ironman and triathletes as a whole is the physiological demands of an Ironman athlete, whether you're trying to complete before midnight or you're a Cam Wharf, are pretty similar, right? It is a very long day, and it's about that training load that's really important. The physiology of the body is very, very similar for that athlete. And the other great thing about PR Lotion is, right, just like all the other electrolytes, you have to take them, right? You have to you can't just go run an Ironman on water. I mean, you probably can, and people do, but that's not the best way or the most optimal way to put your body in a situation. Sodium bicarbonate is a key electrolyte, so whether you are Cam Wharf or you're just trying to finish your first Ironman, giving your body more of what it needs is critical to helping you achieve that finish line, whether it's to win Kona or to finish Kona.
So let me get a little bit technical and just a little in the details of things. So I'm an Ironman athlete. I'm going out for my race. I put on my PR Lotion. Do I not need electrolytes? Do I not need an electrolyte drink? Talk to me about how it works within that kind of.
So if you're an Ironman athlete and you're putting it on race day, you started probably 16 weeks too late.
Well, if I've been using it. No, meaning, good point. Yeah, good point.
Right? So the most important thing is to start incorporating it in training, just like all your other electrolytes, your nutrition, right? Because you want to have the best training day, because if you aren't properly nourished during training, you're going to have a bad training day, which is going to lead to poorer results, poorer capacity to do work. But on a race day, it doesn't change anything else. This is another arrow in the quiver that's really, really important. This has been a ceiling that's been put on us. Bicarbonate has been a ceiling in terms of how much bicarbonate our body can use and produce during any given time. Is that ceiling? We're supplementing that ceiling, no different than we do with other electrolytes, other nutrition, et cetera. We've just found a way to actually raise the ceiling a little bit.
Well, let me ask you this. So you mentioned the sports teams that you've worked with. Are there other areas of athletes that you're working with, like that you've had specific success? You've talked about top level athletes, but is it weightlifting? Is there high intensity interval training? Is there that type of usage that you're seeing a lot of?
Yeah, I mean, it depends upon the use case, right? So when we think about high intensity interval training, that bicarbonate really speaks to the performance aspect of that, right? And so bicarb has a long history of performance aid in high intensity efforts, because your ability to buffer the acid, which is what sodium bicarbonate does, is really important when you're doing multiple repeated efforts. And that's where the one-time performance outcomes are really, really noticeable. We've also had a lot of success with the tactical athlete within the Department of Defense, and that is continuing to grow. But when you think about the demands that are put on them, it's about resiliency, combat readiness, combat performance, and they're doing 8-10 hour rucks, which is similar to an Ironman athlete, where it's just massive capacity and massive load. And how do you manage that so that you can do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day?
That's great. Yeah. So let me ask you just one quick question, one final question. So you come to us. You're an ex-football player, right?
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about your background and what brought you and got you excited about this product.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. So my background, I went to University of Southern California, played on the football team there, had a opportunity to win a national championship, was a 2-time captain, but also got my MBA while I was playing football there. Actually had a tremendous opportunity to play in the NFL, played 4 years. I was an offensive lineman about 85-ish pounds ago, not an endurance athlete at that time. But after I retired, I found my way into an early stage biotech where I was actually employee number 5 that had a really incredible technology. And that's when we realized we could use this technology outside of medicine. And for me, sports, health, wellness, this optimization is really about finding what's the limiting factor in right, our ability to excel, be healthy, perform. And through this biotech, we found a solution for one of those limiters, which is the gut.
Yeah.
And I got really passionate about, is there a better way? Can we use this to offset known deficiencies, limiting factors, things like that? And that's when, about 20 months ago, we spun out Amp Human from the biotech. I acquired it with my partner. We raised some capital to really bring Amp Human to the forefront and commercialize this technology. But it was really around this passion of, there's a better way to work around some of our limiters, and we can use science and we can use a technology developed in the biotech space to affect real change.
That's fantastic. It's amazing, and that's so it's only been 20 months.
Since Amp Human was officially started.
So it was officially started. Now, but you've gone through one change to the lotion itself.
Yeah.
There's one change that you guys made, which was one quick thing. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So if you've used Amp Human in the past, our original PR lotion was what I call straight out the lab. And so we designed it to work, not be pretty. It was really, really important that we use that as our proof of concept to make sure that we could get in with the most elite sport, have the conversation about our technology and our science, but made sure it worked before we invested a ton of money in making a much prettier formula, consumer friendly. So in January of 2020, we relaunched PR Lotion with our next gen product, which is no longer our proof of concept. It's if you've used it, it's much, much prettier. It goes on like a sunscreen rather than yellow honey mustard oily mess that it used to be. So we're really proud of the new stuff. It makes a big difference, and it makes it a lot easier to use consistently throughout training, and to really use a lot more of it. That's ultimately what's really important.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, folks, we're here with Jeff Byers, CEO of AMP Human. We've had a great conversation about AMP Human and its new effect on our athletes. We recommend that you go out and give it a shot. My name's Earl Walton. We'll see you out there on the race course.